Right, you all right, Steve? Yeah. Okay, boss. Well, thanks very much. Well, hello everybody. Thanks very much for that session. That was thank you very much for that session. That was a really good session there, and one of those sessions that sort of brings us to life, doesn't it? Where you recognise, wow, this is important. It didn't go away in 2019 with. Oh, excuse us. We're just going to run this session. That's all right. Please don't worry. So, that session that we just heard was one of those enlightenment sessions for me in particular. You think, well, this problem's gone away in 2019 because of the Basel Convention enhancements. But as we strongly illustrated there, it hasn't. There's a lot of work to do. Well, on the way, we need solutions. And Steve Wong, my friend Steve Wong, is pardon me, is a great example of solutions on the way. Steve is a proper plastics waste entrepreneur. And he runs a company called, I can never remember, Fukutomi. And he knows how to do it. He's a great recycler. He's a genuine entrepreneur in the plastics recycling business. And you've been doing this 38 years. Yeah. So Steve's going to run a session for us now, taking us through the recycling business, your angle on it, your sense of what the future looks like for the future of genuine recycling. And like many of us here, I've been to some of these plants. Mostly, the one I like to go to is in Ljubljana, where they take all the fishing nets and turn it into Eco-Nil. And the Eco-Nil goes to Stella McCartney, Gucci, and all this stuff. So, these things are great. I haven't come to any of your plants yet, but I promise I will. And Steve very kindly has offered to take questions at the end of the presentation. Is that still okay?
Okay. Sure.
Great. Steve, over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Would you like to start with the presentation?
Yes.
Please. Screen. Over to.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to be here to share my thoughts and my experience with everybody. Today, I focus as a recycler from my perspective, share the insight of our industry. And as everybody knows, nowadays, plastic industry or scrap plastic or plastic waste, whatever you call it, is under spotlight. There's no day that we don't see plastic waste appear on the TV or media. So I would like to share with you, especially on reducing of plastic or pollution from plastic through recycling. I don't know whether this is right. Just move. Okay. Yeah, okay. So topic, plastic waste problems and solutions. And I just go through some of the backgrounds that we have or we encounter. First of all, with nowadays, we cannot really afford living without using plastic. So this is the human beings. This is the problem for human beings. And secondly, the plastic, it takes many years, I would say hundreds of years, depending on what kind of plastic, to degrade. And because of this, during this process, it takes so long, it also causes lots of pollution to the environment. And the way to reduce pollution through plastic, I would say, firstly, might be reduce using it, recycling. And recycling, we have two ways of recycling. Traditionally, we have a mechanical recycling, which is through thermal processing, extruded from scrap or from prepared or segregated material, making that into pellets. Or sometimes, okay, like in the case of PET bottles, we can actually process into flake form and directly put in the machine, making different kind of products. And then chemical recycling is getting popular nowadays, although capacity is not as good as like mechanical recycling. On the other hand, I would say this is complementary to the mechanical recycling because we have lots of residue. We have material that, for example, from lamination or laminated material, we cannot really recycle them as like traditional recycling. So we might have to use chemical recycling to regenerate these to their original form. And then we also have plastic waste streams from different industry. In our industry, especially when it comes to buying of feedstock, we normally distinguish between post-consumer and post-industry. With post-industry, we also have waste, or in our business, we always call it scrap or material. We don't really call it waste. This is the difference. So the material that we are talking about from the industry, they could be from plastic industry, could be also from petrochemical industry. And this industry, we also classify that as waste or plastic from primary source. And just now, earlier, we also talked about Basel Convention Amendment, Basel Convention restriction of export. This is a very interesting topic because when you come to classify what is waste, what is scrap, it does impact negatively or positively depending on how you look at it when it comes to export. And at this moment, shipping line declined to accept any shipments once it's classified as plastic waste, especially under the HS code 3915. Later on, I will elaborate a little bit more about this. And with this plastic scrap, I call it plastic scrap from the industry, we normally have different kind of material. I just now, with my previous slide, is also material that the reject, off cut, and they can be in bale, they can be in lump form. And now we go to reuse. And also one of the way to reduce, right, is also through less use of plastic. And I put penalty cost, right? This cost means like at the moment, especially in Los Angeles or many developed countries or many countries, if I say this, especially with the carrier bags, you have to pay a certain amount in case you need to have a carrier bag when you do your grocery. And the other thing is through education substitute. For me, I don't really use plastic unless for example, like with this convention, we don't really see plastic bottle. I always carry my flask to carry water, and also plastic bag. I don't really use it. This is myself. But of course, it's through education we can also give our next generation and concept about how to consume less, because just now we also have speaker talking about plastic consumption has been double or has been more than compared with growth of the population. And the next thing is of recycling. I still think recycling is the most effective way when it comes to reduce waste going to the environment. We have conflicting reports about recycling rates. And I know that every day we look at the media, they always talk about 9% or less than 9%. The other day, I also saw a report talking about like even 6%. And on the other hand, we also come across with some reports saying that recycling rate globally is about 15%. And also, we also had to classify recycling rates is only can't post-consumer or can't post-industry. And especially nowadays with the developed country, we see, for example, in Scandinavia, some of the plastic like PET bottle, the recycling rate is as much as like more than 90%. And one thing I would like to emphasize, being in this business for so many years or this trade for so many years, there's no single time, even now, okay, especially now, plastic scrap or waste after this is sorted and placed in bale, already reduced the volume, never get recycled. So what it means is that the problem is not the infrastructure for putting material into the extruder and then turn it into pellet. The problem is actually collection and also separation. Later on, I will elaborate this. So we have 30%, for example, from Japan and also from Europe, 25%. These are the reported. If you Google, you will see these numbers all the time. Now we also have one thing that lately, or especially the last few years, which enhance recycle industry and also enhance reuse of recycled material. And with this, okay, they call this one called PCR, post-consumer recycle. And these are the material that, as I just said, classified as waste. And then with the brand owner nowadays, I think because of the commitment to using recycled content, for sustainability, circular economy, nowadays we see more and more use of recycled content. And especially in Europe and in the US, there are a lot of recycled material price higher than prime material. I have been in this business more than 38 years. I remember those days people came to this business because they don't really have anything to do. This is the business that with a very, very low threshold to start. And secondly, those customers who use recycled materials, it's not because of environmentally green. It's not because of the sun environment. It's because this is cheaper and because this is the way to reduce the cost of production. So they blend recycled material. And recycled material always about half, depending on the color, or 70% of the prime material. As for today, recycled material, once is approved as recycled content, because of the mandatory use in some country or some state, and also because of the voluntary commitment from brand owner. Recycled content or recycled material today, especially PET, PG, and lots of others are selling really, really higher than or sell for a premium. So this is in a way to enhance or to encourage recycling or use of recycling material. Ultimately will also enhance more recycling, and it will help increase of the recycling rate. And I also want to add, in recycling or in scrap business, there's no single scrap or waste cannot be recycled. Actually, it's a matter of costs. Yeah, I will come to this if there's, I can come to this later on if there's anyone want to know a little bit more detail about this. And as I just mentioned, at this moment, there are lots of investment going on. And all these investments are for the later part of the recycling. So recycling is not only about pelletizing, washing. The main thing is the upstream, is the collection, infrastructure, separations. As I said before, once this is segregated or separated, all this will have a very, very big demand for going to recycling. Especially we have in developed country, we have a material recovering facility, MRF. But at the same time, we need more of this kind of like infrastructure, both for developed and also developing country. So the bottleneck is really, really the separation and collection. Also, the EPR is one of the things that we really need, as for many different industry, especially waste, e-waste, I would call it, waste electrical, electronic equipment. They have an EPR system. And I always think that, okay, for example, later on we'll also go through some pictures, like from the fishing industry, from agricultural industry, we can also use this EPR, or we can use deposit system. So this would be one of the system to enhance recycling, increase of recycling rate. And the other thing that is very sensitive, as just now we have people talking about, or speaker talking about waste export. And now we have a situation where in Southeast Asian country, especially some particular country with a low labor cost, they are much more able to recycle different kind of scrap or waste. Whereas there's still something that because of the cost of the labor and also because of the prioritization, sometimes this low value material will never get recycled, instead will go to the environment. And when we talk about technology, I think later on we also will go to this technology. In fact, today technology, there's enough technology to recycle plastic. It's not rocket science things. And also it's not very, very expensive, depending on the capacity, depending on how much scrap available. We have enough material, we have enough waste available for sorting, for employing different kind of technology. Later on, I will go to this one. Okay, so now we are talking about example of waste and also the solutions. These are some of the examples that I will share and also would like to emphasize with these are plural because of a product design. So here you probably will see different kind of trays, but these trays, these can be made out of PVC, can be made out of PET, PP, and PS. I think consumer is not able to separate them. And in fact, okay, we can also separate them through near infrared or different kind of spectrum, okay, to identify different material, but it will be very costly. So the idea is we can have a product design and encourage a producer or manufacturer to use only one or two type material, maximum two. For example, today, PVC is classified as like hazardous. What is the point of use PVC? So this is only one of the example. And I have a slide. I have the picture on the left. This is the butter. Okay, this is made out of PP, and this one we often see this material sorted from MRF, and it's mixed together with the mixed bale or hard or rigid mixed plastic bales. So with PP, yeah, this is relatively easy to sort because most of the MRF, they would have this facility, or they would be equipped with the near infrared sorting or spectrum sorting. And with this sorting, they normally sort out PET, HDPE, PP, and I don't know what PVC might be. Okay, even if not, so PP is one of the main scrap or material collected through MRF. And the next one is also different kind of source, yeah. And this source, when you look at it, it's same as like the one shown previously. On the other hand, you actually notice, okay, you really use it, there's a layer, a very, very thin one, used as a like barrier. This barrier is to protect source in not going bad or to protect the source being fresh. So these materials sometimes can be UOH, can be PVC. So this is one of the examples that we should have a solution on this. And this is also another example. But now you come to this production scrap, and also the one that is candy film. This most of the time they make out of PP or PET, and these are the one that at this moment there's still no solution. Not because they cannot recycle, it's because because okay, nobody really collect them. Okay, this another example is chocolate bar, and then on the right, this is the EPS. In fact, EPS is one of the most recycled material, and especially from the fishing industry. And at this moment in Europe, because of the circular economy, because of the recycled content requirement, demand for recycled content. In fact, this scrap nowadays is selling even higher price than prime material. Now we have some of the separated materials to spectrum from MRF, material recovering facility. On the left, these are the milk bottle and also mixed bottle. And then on the right, these are the PET straps. So these, okay, we never have any problem for recycle so long as somebody collect them. And now we have, as I mentioned before, the biggest problem is not recycling. The biggest problem still is sorting and collection and infrastructures. And I mentioned earlier about recycling rate. Why this recycling rate is more, is more than 10%, because I don't really see any country had recycling rate less than 10%, even in developing country, because all the plastic that collected, okay, can be recycled. There's no plastic you cannot recycle. Either it's through mechanical, chemical recycle or chemical recycling, or even pyrolysis. So it's a matter of cost, it's a matter of the volume, economy of scale, and also government policy. And the next one I want to share, these are the machine that which can separate different kind of material. We currently in the recycling industry, the most used machine are electrostatic and also near infrared. And why recyclers use electrostatic? Because there are a lot of different there are a lot of black material, especially from waste electrical equipment, and like this computer and all these are black. Near infrared will not be able to tell the material through reflection of the color. Yeah. So and also so now what they do is, okay, in fact, okay, they have a machine called electrostatic, and these are made non-expensive. When I say non-expensive, to give example, maybe 50,000-60,000 US$, just only the machine. But of course, you add all the accessory, it will be some other extra cost in it. So this is something affordable. So it's not, and also lots of policymakers, they always talk about a facility, they talk about technology. In fact, there are lots of companies, they have money, but they don't have project to run. And in Southeast Asian country or developed, or we call it economy transition countries, it's not, I think the main thing is a policy and also its profitability. There's no lack of investor who would like to invest recycling or recycling of plastic. So now this is also another example of machine. And okay, now we come to carpet. Okay, this is also an example that I just want to share with everybody. In California, there's a system to collect carpet, and through the system, recyclers get subsidies or money to recycle. And I know that recycler, depending on what stage you recycle up to, if you recycle them into, for example, taking out of the backing and recycle it into the fiber, okay, there will be, for example, $700-800 US$ per ton. You recycle them into pellet, you might get, okay, more than 1,000. So this is an example of system pay for the recycling. And with this system, it's work very well. So in the US, there are a lot of recycling of carpet. And at this moment, I think Paul was mentioning about recycling of fishing net. In the chemical recycling industry, there is a company that recycle nylon 6 to a couple of tons, means back to the original form of the material. And the downstream customer are all the brand owner. And chemical recycling provide give the downstream end user to have the original color, which is natural, and also to maintain the mechanical and chemical property. So this is an example of nylon and also of carpet. Then the next one, the agricultural industry. In this industry, there are more than 12-13 million tons of agricultural plastic produced. At this moment, the items that I just post are the items that with higher recovering rate. On the left, this is a drip tape with the recovering rate of 60–70%. And then in the middle is a cotton film, which will generate about 80–90% of recovering rate. And then on the right, these are the greenhouse film. So all these before there's not enough incentive to recycle them, domestic and also for export. Might be probably a lot of recycler export them. Today, because of the demand for recycled content, lots of these wastes are being recycled domestically. And then the other one I share, these are the film that are relatively thinner, and you might only get recycling rate of less than 50%. At the end of the day, it's not because they are not, they cannot be recycled. It's really a matter of money. It's a matter of cost. So the financial incentive is really important. Although normally people don't really talk about, I mean, especially policymakers, they probably might not have, I would say, numbers about related to recycling and also what possibility we have. In fact, okay, financial aid is the best incentive for recycling industry or for every industry. And the next thing we look at is fishing net and also fishing ropes from the fishing industry. And all these can be recycled. Just a matter of how you do it. And also, these are dirty. But then when we talk about dirty, I think in waste, we have many different kind of waste. We have metal, we have tire, we have cotton, we have textile. But as I just mentioned, plastic is under spotlight. And whenever there's any pollution, they always put the blame on plastic. And in fact, these kind of ropes or this kind of waste, right? These are not hazardous. Okay, specifically, okay, I mean the rope. Okay, depending on where it come from. Okay, it is coming from. For example, just now I feel like bale material of plastic. These are coming from food industry. So these are not, those are not contaminated, but even this one is also not, but it look like dirty. In fact, when you recycle them, it's not really that, it's not really hazardous. Okay, so at this moment, post-industry, we also there's a definition about what's post-industry, because we have a fishery industry, we have also agricultural industry. I think somehow we had to draw a line, you know, which like post-consumer, including what kind of waste, and also post-industry, we include what kind of industry. And there should be a separate law or regulation to govern recycling of waste generated from different industry. And these are the example of post-industry. I actually, you know, specifically have example of rolls. These rolls are sometimes they can be obsolete rolls, they can be misprint, or these are the end of or these are the purging rolls. Okay, these rolls can be reused with the Basel Convention now, and also with the regulations getting more and more tight. The industry is really worried about in the future, they might not be able to import them, or they might not be able to ship them from one country to other country. So this is another example from automobile industry, and also on the red, these are the PVB. If you are not in this industry, you might not even heard about this, what PVB is. And we also have waste collected from end-of-life vehicle. And then on the left, this is a bumper. And all this can be recycled. And normally, we don't really find this is hazardous. And then these pictures about printed film, it can be polypropylene, and also sometimes this can be laminated. And these are the factory scrap that with well demand and easy to recycle. But then with the latest regulation or with the shipping line, they decline to take shipments. So now the waste or scrap become a very localized business or industry. So these are the example of nylon for sausage with PE, VVOH, and these are the protection waste or scrap. With the latest regulation, this also have a problem to export because of the shipping line decline, accepting this kind of shipment, and also because of the lamination. So we have more V scrap, TV scrap, all these remain in domestic market. And these are the runner. Just want to show everybody that these are the protection waste or protection scrap, can be separated, can be recycled them, and also with very high value. Okay, we have one item. So this is the one on the left is for medical industry, but these are protection waste, and these are not really pose any risk to the environment if you separate them. Okay, probably some of these are with PVC and also other material had to be separated by hand, and there's no solution in Europe. And this also another example that from the optical industry. And these are the nylon can be recycled chemically and to regenerate into original form of material like couple of ton. And then the one on the left, this is from the car light regrind, and also on the one to the left, okay, the red one is a car tail light, and then the one on the right, these are the EPS expanded polystyrene collected and then compacted into lump form and ready for recycling and used for building insulation, for photo frame, and also for back to the packaging industry. So these are the better and clean process scrap. And this scrap nowadays, because of the shipping line decline to take anything there under the HS code of 3915. So this will not be able to ship, from Europe to the Far East. Even there's a demand for circular economy. So now there will be a disconnect, between developed countries and also developing country. Disconnect between where the material generated or the waste generated and also demand, okay, or recycle base in the Far East. So challenges faced by the recycling industry, I think there quite a lot of them are already mentioned, especially global disconnection between plastic waste generated versus recycle, and country policy, regulation, logistic constraint. The core recycling hub in Southeast Asia can produce over 5 million tons. Actually, the number could be more. But now a lot of recyclers can only operate only 50% of their capacity. And also the challenges that we have, although I keep saying that recycling is the best policy to reduce pollution to the environment and also increase recycling rate. But because of this disconnect, one of the examples is we have insufficient supply of plastic recyclable restrictive country policy at exporting and importing countries. And lately, because of the rocketing shipping and logistic costs, which stop lots of export from developed country to developing country. And also shipping line, I always keep saying that the shipping line has been, if I'm allowed, to use this word, misinformed about our industry. They know that the media and also there are lots of, or might be some NGO, they keep pushing them not to export or not to do illegal trade. So now they stop everything. So even the legal one also don't get the shipment. And there's insufficient domestic recyclable, and because of the commitment, because of the mandatory use of recycled content. So here I will show the table later on to show the shortfall and also the challenge that we have. So we need to optimize existing recycling facility globally, and brand owner nowadays might not be able to meet their recycled content target. Okay, here are the table. Okay, this chart, okay, based on this chart 2020, we look at, okay, the recycling tonnage, like 9 million ton, 2.8. So you come up to like 33 million tons of recycling. So these 30 million tons, okay, plus the exported quantity, but this I think is understated, So definitely is more than 2.5 million. But when you come to 2.5 million, right? Take the total plastic produced per year is 360 something million. So this is about 10%. Yeah, as I mentioned, 10%. And I do think that this number should be more because we don't really know how this statistic collected. And we know very well that normally they base on the HS code, they base on export. And I don't rule out possibility that a lot of export, they can be declared under even the waste, okay, they can be declared under different HS code. Yeah, non-3915. So once this is declared under different HS code, this that will not be classified as recycle rate, or this will not be put in a recycling rate because of the declaration of the HS code. And what you see, okay, now with the commitment 2025, we would like to see the 25% of recycled content in all the plastic product. And to make it easy, I calculate it's 100 million tons that we need. And at the moment, okay, we can only have about 45 million tons. So there's a shortfall of 55 million tons of plastic recycled material for the industry. So I guess this is all I have. And I thank you for the time. And I'm here today and tomorrow. And you can email me if there's any question you want to raise, and also if there's anything that you want to ask. Yeah, okay. So my time is okay, yeah?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I have it. If I'm able.
Please catch Steve for
Yeah.
questions. Steve, thank you.
So, okay. Yeah.
Thank you. And now I'm going to introduce my friend Andrew, and just had a really interesting thing with